shut up compressor.
Yeah, low shape proposed. Repeat the low approach. Search for the side to allow initial pre-capture position re-enter coordinates.
Hey everyone, Matt here with Duke's Models, and welcome to the first installment of the Weasel-Off, which is a look at the comparative pros and cons of the Zoukei-Mura and Meng F-4G Wild Weasel kits. Now, if you've watched some of my past videos, particularly the flank-off between the Kitty Hawk and Great Wall Hobby SU-35s, this isn't going to be that. I'm not going to be building each of these step by step along the way, comparing and contrasting as I go. Each one of these is going to be built step by step, and you can watch those videos and just kind of see how each one goes along on its way. These Weasel-Off videos, however, are going to be slightly different. They are going to look at a specific feature of the kit, maybe the cockpit, maybe, I don't know, the air brakes, likely not, but you get the idea, you know, individual little bits. How do the canopies compare, for example? How do they treat the heat shielding? And just give a sense of sort of where they stack up in those specific little dimensions that always seem to get ignored when people are screeching about the Zoukei-Mura kit not having the flaps able to be posed closed or the ridges on the Meng heat shield, etc. This time out, we are going to be looking at the Martin Baker ejection seats. And so, let me zoom in and we'll get right to it. So my general rule when it comes to ejection seats is basically buy aftermarket immediately. And in the case of the F4 Phantom, we have some really fantastic options, including this lovely 3D printed unit from MCC that you can get on eBay. They have a naval and a Air Force version of the seat. And my goodness, is it pretty. All the belts, all the cables, everything is already there. There are some separate parts that I haven't really pulled off of the supports yet for the the ejection poles and a couple other little bits that go down here. But yeah, if you want to just have a kick-ass ejection seat, just immediately go aftermarket. Another option would be something like a quick boost seat. This one I've supplemented with a I think that might be a Quinta or an Edward pull handle. I can't remember which. Me being lazy and saying fuck it. But, these are also quite nicely detailed. They will get you most of the way to where you want to go. But every now and then kit seats come along and you're like, yeah, I could live with this. And I actually did live with the Meng ejection seats when I did their F4D several years ago. So let's take a look at the Meng seats first, okay? Basically, you get the two sides of the frame, and the exterior detail here is quite good. You've got cables routed, you've got some fun rivet detail, you've got all kinds of various lines, you've got the side ejection pole handle molded quite crisply there. Everything looks pretty solid. Yay. But there's really nothing to gripe about here. Everything seems quite well done. And then when we get to the seat detail, things are also surprisingly decent. It actually has some some undulations of the seat cushion. It's got that little hole in it. I forget what that's for. And we get to the characteristic headrest of the Mark 7 seats. It's got that weird sort of horseshoe kind of thing going on there. And again, we've got some nice fabric undulations. We've got the separation between the main headrest and sort of the top portion there. We've got the belts. I mean, everything looks, the straps, whatever. Everything looks okay. And then on top, we've got, we've got the pull handles, which seem maybe a little bit oddly shaped. They seem a little bit more, ovular, kind of like lengthened maybe. Another downside of these is the way that they are attached to the shut-up compressor sprues right here at the edge of the loop. And pretty much no matter how careful you are, you're going to have a bad time removing them. So just kind of know that going in. but they've got solid detail up top, which is good because that's somewhere that everybody sees when they look in the cockpit, right? A lot of shit gets missed. The top of the ejection seat absolutely does not. So it's, a decent effort. And if you put belts on it, you can dress it up pretty decently, especially in a phantom cockpit where a lot of stuff is obscured because of the, canopies, because of the high fuselage sides, etc. If you were going to, say, put a pilot in this, and I know that Zoukei-Mura is releasing a pilot set here any day now, I would probably stick with these, or if I had an Ares set or something laying around, I might be tempted to go that way, but, I think these would be fine with a pilot on them. And maybe a little bit of scratch work just to add some extra detail. Now let's take a look at the Meng seats. The Meng seat takes a very similar approach to the Zoukei-Mura seat. Two frame halves that glue together. The detail here is okay. I don't know that I would call it better than the Zoukei-Mura. We can kind of compare them right here. Maybe slightly less. It's lacking a lot of that rivet detail that gives it some punch, but, these things will be painted black anyway, so is that really all that necessary? That's about where the equality ends. The back of the seat, there's nothing. And the seat cushion, I know it looks like one piece here because I've glued the headrest to the top, but it's basically just two pieces. Very little detail. It's missing that little fun hole. But it does kind of, all seat nicely into the frame. So it's got that going for it. But, man, that is a yawner of a seat. It's lacking a lot of detail. Yeah, not what I would call great. And then up top, we get something kind of similar where Meng gets like half of it right. So I honestly think the pull handles here and the detail between the sort of the gray and yellow stripy bits and the red bit is quite nice. But then there's the blank fucking slate up top here. That's just bad. Like, that is hideous. And that alone would just absolutely disqualify the seat for me. So, comparing these two next to each other, I mean, the Zoukei-Mura kit seat just stomps all over the Meng seat. Basically, the side frame detail is close enough that you could maybe charitably say it's a draw. I would still probably give it to Zoukei-Mura. But the cushion detail definitely goes to Zoukei-Mura. The top of the seat detail definitely goes to Zoukei-Mura. And while the pull handles on the Meng seat are slightly better, in my opinion, that's not enough to sway me, especially when you can just pick up separate pull handles from Hypersonic, or I think Edward even has a 3D color set coming out like next month. So lots of options to deal with those. And I would honestly put my priorities on the top detail up here because that's the shit you're going to see. So yeah, Meng loses this round. Fuck it. But honestly, they both lose this round because if you compare the seat to an aftermarket seat, it's really no contest. I mean, especially the top detail, like, you can have so much more fun doing this one. So, yeah, minor thing, and I don't think that the ejection seat is sort of make or break for a kit, but it's an interesting look at how both companies approach the entire subject in general. So yeah, Meng wins this round, and we'll be back as both builds progress to kind of do a compare-contrast on other elements of both kits. So that is the first installment of the Weasel-Off. Thanks for watching, and you gotta be shitting me.